Back to bargain cunt. Bargain cunt. All right, let's get that out of our system.
Back to what, James?
Is that the beginning bit now?
Life, finds a way, everyone. This week we take a look at Steven Spielberg's most commercially successful movie. Welcome to the 3 Takes of Stupidity, and this week we're covering Jurassic Park. I'm Alex Clinton, I'm joined by Chandler Monk.
Hello.
And James Robbins.
Hello.
Let's go dino hunting.
So, boys, we're back with the third and final episode of our first series. Now decided that it's our first series. We may have mentioned before that it was our second series, but no, this is our first series. How you feeling? Jurassic Park, you ready?
I'm very ready.
Yeah, very ready.
As customary, what have you been doing this week?
I'll go first. So I went to the cinema the other day to see, obviously, one of the biggest releases of the year, the first part of Wicked. And I've got to say, I really enjoyed it. As we probably both know, and for the listeners, I'm a big musical theatre fan. Love musicals. I love musicals. I met my partner a couple of years ago and then realised there's a whole other level to loving musicals. And yeah, it was really good. I've actually not seen the stage show of Wicked, and I think this film, not only did it make me want to revisit Wizard of Oz, it's actually, for the first time, actually give me an incentive to go see the stage show. So I think it's done its job. It was really good. Cynthia Erivo was really good, and Ariana Grande was also really good. So I'd recommend seeing it, even if you've not seen the stage show.
I've always heard the music in Wicked, never seen it, and I always find the music really powerful. And I always think it must take a hell of a singer to perform those songs.
Yeah, definitely.
And so Ariana Grande makes sense, but how was the other lead? I can't remember what you said her name was.
Cynthia Erivo.
How was Cynthia's
She was really good.
Vocal? Yeah. Because Ariana Grande is a different level.
Yeah. No, she was really good. Like there's certain riffs in the singing that have changed. Like there's a very famous riff in the middle of Defying Gravity that's slightly different to what Idina Menzel and is on like the original Broadway track. But like from when because my Instagram and my social media is just full of loads of Wicked stuff at the moment, because me and my partner keep
Wicked stuff.
Yeah. Me and my partner just...
Sorry, had to.
It's fine. Me and my partner, since we saw it on Friday, have just been looking at loads. And yeah, there's been a lot of love for the slight changes that she's made in those riffs. So yeah, I think she did. I think the whole cast did really, really well. Like Jonathan Bailey in it's really good. Peter Dinklage is a voice of one of the animals in it as well. He has a small song as well. It was all really good. Like genuinely, I can't actually think of a critique. The only thing that you could say is that it's a bit long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes for one half because obviously it's part one and the second half comes out next year.
Yeah. How long's the stage show normally?
I think the stage show is 3 hours.
Oh, so it's a two intervals show?
No, it's a 1 interval show, I think.
Okay.
But just coming on to the length of it. So I don't know if you know, earlier on in the year, there was a musical film of Mean Girls that came out, which is an adaptation of the stage show of Mean Girls. And I did not like that. I love the original. The original Mean Girls is quality, up there with favourite films sort of thing. The musical version of it, the film version of the musical stage show is rubbish. It's awful. It's an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes of a stage show, which is 2.5 hours. And I think it's sort of, I don't think the film works unless you've seen either the stage show or the original film. It relies too heavily on you knowing what's going on. Whereas this, I think it made the decision early to be 2 films, which is great because it can actually tell the full story without having to chop and change the songs or the storyline of the stage show. So that's why I think this film really works.
Outstanding. And at the other end of the viewing spectrum, from I imagine a multi-million pound budget, like Wicked, maybe even tens of millions, to the tens of thousands budget of daytime TV. I've had a fantastic couple of weeks. Really, really good. Obviously, I'm going to mention what everyone's been talking about this week, and that was a recent episode of Bargain Hunt. For all of our non-UK viewers, Bargain Hunt is a show where elderly couples team up with another elderly person and go buy some stuff. And then they try and sell the stuff that no one wanted to other people who probably in a couple of years will also not want the stuff. But it's really good. They buy just... so, for example, the episode I watched recently, they bought a clock that doesn't have many ticks left for about... I think they bought it for 35 quid and they sold it for like 80. And oh my God, as you can imagine, I was... You'd think England had just scored the goal at a World Cup. You'd think the sprinter had just broken Usain Bolt's record. I couldn't believe that they had done that. It was outstanding. Daytime TV. It's where true excitement and entertainment lives.
Alex, have you had a lot of time on your hands these past few weeks?
I have, but honestly, you don't need to. You only need 45 minutes of your day to make your day, really.
I remember Bargain Hunt just being that show I'd always watch with my mum when I was ill off school, and she'd be
yeah. Bargain Hunt and Bamzuki.
Bamzuki.
Oh, Bamzuki.
What was Bamzuki?
It was Jake Humphrey's presenter debut, I think, and like kids had to design on this website like a little. It was almost like Digital Robot Wars. They had to make a bug thing that would move, I guess, or a creature that would move, and then they'd fight or something on.
Yeah, and it was. They would always lose if they'd made it like too like rectangular, because it would just get flipped over and then it couldn't win.
Yeah. Did you ever try and make one?
No. I was never that into Bamzuki. I just used to watch the bloodshed.
Bloodshed?
I remember being off from school one day and watching like a couple of episodes and trying to make one, and it's well hard.
Wow.
It's really hard to make a Bamzuki. I don't think mine could walk.
Nice.
Which isn't fantastic. Who would have thought that he'd have the high performance podcast and be universally, I was going to say loved, but let's go universally known.
Middle of the road there for Jake Humphreys.
Middle of the road. Universally known. Loves Huel.
Everyone knows about you.
You guys know that I was very emotional earlier in the year because the writer, author of Dragon Ball passed away, Akira Toriyama, of which there was worldwide mourning of I don't think anything I've ever seen in my lifetime. South American countries, I can't remember who had like days of mourning and made it a national holiday. There was festivals in tiny rural villages in Mexico. The Chinese government sent condolences in Parliament to Japan. His death was so newsworthy, more than anything I could have imagined, especially from a manga creator. Probably something way more than you two could have imagined, considering how you feel about that genre of that style of TV or books.
Love it.
But his final work, Dragon Ball Daima, released a few weeks ago, and episode 7 was out a couple of days ago, and I watched that yesterday. I find it quite emotional to watch, especially the first few episodes, because it's not only the last work he was the most involved with, but also it's the anime that he was the most involved with, and it's a brand new story. The animation is incredible. It really feels like a love letter to him, even though he wrote it. I know it sounds weird to say, but obviously with his passing, it definitely celebrates his work, his life, his biggest work, one of the biggest cultural phenomenons in media. And yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It is a gorgeous show. The animation is incredible. The set drops, I want some full art of the background art of the world they're in, because and I think coming into Jurassic Park, a lot of what I felt was wonder with the start of Jurassic Park, and this show brings me a lot of wonder because they're exploring a new world.
Was it like a terminal illness, or was it a sudden?
It was a sudden death.
So he had no time to like make any stuff like to.
This had already finished most of its production. So Dragon Ball Diamond finished its like key production when he passed away, but it was a sudden death. I think it was a short illness. But yeah, it was a real shock, I think, to obviously the fans, but also to his staff, his production company, to the Dragon Ball team, etc. So I think they did alter some stuff in either the opening or the ending of each episode, where I think one of something to do with his production was about a bird, and there's like a white bird creature, like of just all feathers, like going off into the light, and like Goku almost seeing it off, and that's like every ending. It's quite emotional.
And they added that in.
I'm assuming. I don't know.
Yeah, they as a tribute to him at the end of each one.
It feels like a tribute. But anyway, without further ado, Alex, this is your pick. Can you take us into Jurassic Park?
Welcome to Jurassic Park. So, to kick us off, give you some... we'll clear up a bit of the admin first. So, this is available to watch on Amazon Prime at the minute, at time of recording. It's the first of the original Jurassic Park trilogy. The initial one is... The plot of the initial one is about John Hammond, an industrialist, who invites some expert to his park to basically decide if it's safe. And during their time there, I think they find out it's not as safe as he thinks it is, or it would have been a rubbish movie. It's got an IMDb rating of 8.2 out of 10, which is pretty bloody high, you know.
Might be the highest film we've done. Definitely of our first series, wink, wink.
Yes,
but maybe not our first series, wink, wink.
Of course. The movie's directed by Steven Spielberg. Did I say that right?
Spielberg. Spielberg.
A small director-producer, just got his big break in cinema. It was his sort of second big movie of the year after Schindler's List. Two very different movies.
So in my research of the film, he had to finish post-production on Schindler's List while starting this film, essentially, and he said it was one of the worst decisions he made to do, basically.
Wasn't it the other way around? He was doing the CGI on Jurassic Park whilst recording Schindler's List, and it was two very different, maybe, and it was two very different movies, and emotionally he was struggling.
Yeah, I can imagine. Dealing with frivolous questions about like, oh, how does the animation look like on this dinosaur?
Chandler, if you
not during the Schindler's List production, I hope it, while he was on site for that production, he was very focused. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, Jeff Goldblum and his many cast members. It's actually a phenomenal cast all the way through. Doesn't need to be that stacked, but it kind of is nowadays. People like Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern's pretty good. Richard Attenborough, brother of David.
And you're missing quite a big one off that list as well. Like quite early on in his career.
And of course, Newman.
I wasn't even... You mean Wayne Knight?
Yeah, Wayne Knight, of course. The man who played Newman. And
on Seinfeld.
Samantha Jackson.
Samantha Jackson.
I think that's the man you're referring to.
That is the one I was referring to. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. He's so good in it, though, isn't it? He's so... Like, the note I had written down about Samuel L. Jackson was that he just looks so fucking cool in every shot he's in.
The amount of speaking he does with a cigarette in his mouth is outstanding.
Exactly.
I do get why there was a cigarette epidemic and why so many people smoked, because if you look like that when you smoke, and if you're seeing people that look like that whenever they smoke, just look cool. We're not going to promote smoking here, but I do promote Samuel L. Jackson smoking in this movie.
So you say that. I remember, so one of my brother-in-laws, he smoked for many, many years, and I've known him, because age difference between me and my sister, I've known him since I was like 6 or 7 years old. And I remember asking him once why he smoked, and he said like 2 or 3 reasons. I can't remember what those were. And then at the end he was like, yeah, but at the end of the day, smoking's just cool, isn't it? And he said this to like 12 or 13-year-old at the time, probably.
Jesus.
But you can smoke, it will look very cool, but you haven't got long to do it. So please, if you do take up smoking, enjoy it while it lasts.
Can we all agree that vaping does not look cool?
Agreed.
Even as an alternative, it looks so stupid.
Yeah, agreed.
No, it's great for a Thomas the Tank impression, if ever needed.
Do you know what's really funny? Alex pissed off loads of anime nerds last time out, and now we've all just pissed off loads of people who vape, which is most of the country. Brilliant.
Yeah, but the good thing is you can outrun these people. Their lungs don't work.
But my first note of the film, like going into like the introduction of it, where they're bringing out like there's something in the cage, you're not really sure what it is yet, and everything. It is such a good opening to a film, and the first note I've got on my like general thoughts about the movie is just, it's just one of the best films ever made, isn't it? It's just so good.
It's also, I love the sort of, I compared it sort of with Jaws, where you don't really see the creature. You sort of see it a bit, but, you know, the fear of not seeing what is killing this bloke, who is apparently the gatekeeper, but is bloody rubbish at opening the gate.
So yeah, I completely agree with you. I made the same note. And looking into the research, the dinosaurs as a whole have only about 15 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, I saw that.
In a 2 hour and 10 movie.
Yeah.
It's phenomenally done. It's just so good.
It saves budget, obviously. And CGI is going to be crazy for the budget at the time. Does anyone have the budget handy?
No. But
one sec. Let me stay on this point. The budget at the time was $63 million, which is pretty high.
What's that in today's money?
But to compare it to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, that was $432 million US. So that's quite a difference. And Jurassic Park had a $63 million budget and 1.058 billion return. At the time, I think it was the top grossing movie ever. I would say only having dinosaurs in it was 15 minutes is a good limitation to have, because it helps with suspense.
Yeah.
And everything you see nowadays is you can get a whole film from a trailer, and you see everything in a trailer. The Captain America 4 trailers come out recently, and they've shown you Red Hulk. Why show us it? Why don't show us? That's we know it's probably going to happen, but that would be great to see in the cinema. But keeping the dinosaurs secret for so long in this is a masterstroke.
Just going on about how like the effects and the CGI and special effects are used, they're so good. This film came out like over 20 years ago, and the effects are still incredible. Like there's parts where you're like, okay, you can tell that CGI, but they're still so good. Like going back to last time when I spoke about Gladiator 2, the effects in that are awful. And I'm sure the budget of that is much better than this in today's money as well. So like to go and watch this from over 20 years and the effects still hold up is incredible.
So I don't think they hold up.
Really?
I think for the time, oh my God, I wrote down that this is incredible. The dinosaurs are incredible, but I don't think it holds up to now. If you compare it to some bad CGI now, Black Panther, the film, comes to mind, where it just looks like rubber men like fighting. But like we know the best CGI today is worlds and worlds and worlds above this. Like
I don't know that it is.
I don't know that it's worlds apart.
Well, but think about modern films where the CGI is so much of the entire setting and backdrop and everything, but then you're not aware of it, and you're not aware of little things in a scene that are CGI. Yes, when there's big CGI set pieces, maybe not. But I much preferred the practical effects in this than the CGI today. In 1992, that would have been very different.
I still think they hold up pretty damn well. They are still really cool to look at and really, really good. And again, compare it to some of today's CGI, it's still incredible.
It didn't take me out the film. Don't get me wrong. It didn't take me out the film. It was very much like of its time. And I'm pretty sure that's the early days of movie CGI. Yeah,
so reading in my notes, basically one of the main artists at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which are the special effects house they use, which is like the same as Star Wars. One of the guys, basically, how they thought they were going to do the animation and the CGI and the animatronics was like via like stop motion editing and things. And basically, they came in with this brand new way of doing the CGI, and he basically just went the same as Jeff Goldblum says in the film. They go, yep, after that, we're extinct. It's so good. You don't need my type of animation anymore, basically.
As I said, an excellent opening scene, very Spielberg-esque, to start us off with the high action, high intensity. And then we're into an excavation scene, very Spielberg-esque again, slow digging, where we meet Dr. Grant, Sam Neill's character, Ellie Sadler, Laura Dern's character, and
Sattler. Ellie Sattler.
How are you an expert on her character's name?
I've got a list of
Can you
characters in
read?
here. You got a Sattler, which was my university
Sattler.
lecturer.
All right, okay. She was your university lecturer. Outstanding.
Yeah,
Anyway,
she was. It was brilliant.
And we also meet a really annoying child who doesn't believe that a velociraptor is that terrifying.
And then in that, Dr. Grant takes great pleasure in scaring the shit out of him. Gets the claw and just fucking if I was a real velociraptor, I would murder you so slowly so you felt everything.
We're told immediately that he hates children. He hates, and it's funny, in the book that it's based upon, his character's changed, and one of the key points about his character in the book was lover of children.
Yeah, that's right that as well.
Christ, good change.
But in this scene, don't you think we get one of the possibly cinema's greatest dickish entrance of a character? Like Mr. Hammond coming down in a helicopter that just ruins their entire dig because it just messes up all the dirt that they've been digging around and like really, what's the word I'm looking for? Meticulously digging out and like trying to find stuff. Helicopter just comes in and blows it all away.
Yeah, but how does he make it from the helicopter into the cabin while being unseen? This is Richard Attenborough we're talking about, the star of The Great Escape, so he's obviously quick on his feet. But I don't think he's that fast.
But not... and not at like 80 years old.
He looks good for mid-70s, as he's supposed to be in this film. He looks pretty... I would have said 64 at best.
But I also really enjoy when Sam Neill and Laura Dern meet him. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you here and what have you done to our dig? And then as soon as they realise he's the one that's been backing their dig for the past few years, they're like, we love you. Like, we're gonna be the nicest people in the world to you right now.
Yeah, he's cracking open their champagne and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'll buy you more champagne, obviously. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, no.
Basically, he's flown there to talk to them he wants them to have an inspection of the park. And in the initial scene, and I mean, it's purely... I noticed it down as foreshadowing at the time, but I'm not sure it is. All it did is tell us that they're going to have an inspection, obviously, because some guy goes, I hate inspections. They slow everything down. And I was like, what's it slowing down? Is the park not ready yet? Which
they've spared no expense.
Spared no expense.
It's a fantastic... This whole scene is a fantastic piece of exposition from the kid who doesn't believe that a velociraptor can tear him into pieces and to the billionaire who has arrived and decided to just play with chance by saying my park is insanely safe. You've got no idea. There's no way a T-Rex will eat a car in front of you and a lawyer on the toilet. There's no way that's happening.
Spoilers.
There's something I want to say about the lawyer on the toilet, but we will come to that.
Yeah. Oh, for anyone who hasn't seen the film, all lawyers are safe in this movie.
The kid, though, is maybe right about them not being dangerous because a scientific inaccuracy is velociraptors. He mentions a turkey, and they say 6-foot turkey, but in actuality, velociraptors were about the size of turkeys. I still wouldn't want to fight one that's the size of a turkey, but and also it doesn't. They say in the film that it means bird of prey, but actually it means speedy thief.
Does it?
I looked that up as well, and the first thing it immediately gave to me was raptor does mean bird of prey. So wherever Google has given our two different hits there, it's
so
quite
mine was the
interesting.
phrase Losaraptor. It means bird of prey, but maybe raptor itself does. But yeah, but velocity, that's definitely speedy. Maybe it meant speedy bird.
Speedy bird of prey. But then this whole scene that obviously transitions into it goes straight to a helicopter where we meet Jeff Goldblum's character. Where we meet Jeff Goldblum's character, Ian Malcolm, who is the sexiest mathematician I could think of.
He might be the sexiest man ever, I think. Honestly, I saw him and was like, oh, God, there's literally no need for the sex appeal to be dripping off a mathematician. Even though he's not a mathematician, I can't remember what he actually says he is, but he's very...
Chaos theory.
He's very anal about the fact he's not a mathematician and he is very specialised.
So I've got a very small chuckle chart this week, but it has returned. And one was scaring the kid, but I did love Ellie sat there saying, could have just pulled a gun on him. So, Christ, Ellie.
Yeah.
But then
I saw.
Getting to Jeff Goldblum, wonderful man. Yes, he's sexy. He's so creepy. And the laugh when you meet him. Oh my God.
I did not find him creepy. I sort of swooned a little bit, I'll be honest with you.
He swooned me at many points in this film, but not with that laugh.
But it's also the first time we see Jeff Goldblum is the arrival onto the island in the helicopter. We see the landscape for the first time, incredible, and we get the first outing of that music.
Can we have 5 seconds of it, please, from someone?
Yeah, I'll do it. Dun 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 dun.
That's it.
That was it. You nearly got us there, didn't you, copyright people?
It's so gorgeous. And in the opening part of the movie where we're introduced to everything, including the park, one thing I wrote down, which was something I feel like you don't get in films that enough nowadays, is that sense of wonder. I found it so uplifting, and there was so much wonder and intrigue, and the music feels not romantic in a love sense, but it felt romantic about the place they're going. And my favourite part of the film, honestly, was all of this intro section to an introduction to the dinosaurs, to the land itself. I just thought it was beautiful.
It really was. And it is one of, if not the most recognisable movie themes ever. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so the whole
scene where they see the Brachiosaurus for the first time, where it's just walking up and munching on a tree, and Ellie is so transfixed by this leaf that she's found, doesn't even see the massive dinosaur that is apparently shaking the ground when it walks. She's like, look at this leaf, and they're like, check this out. Hey,
I love the bit where they just point. Sam Neill just points. It goes, it's a dinosaur. My God, you have a dinosaur. Like, coming back to what we said about Digimon, and like where the thing just appears in their room and then evolves, and it's a cute cuddly thing and they just want to play with it. It's the same thing. It's the same like childhood bewilderment of, oh my God, that is amazing. I just want to play with that thing. Like, oh my God, it's a dinosaur. This is my dream. I want to play with dinosaurs.
And of course he does play with the T-Rex later.
So much was going through, like, my inner child was so pleased and fulfilled by the opening of this movie. I don't remember when I last watched Jurassic Park, and I can't actually remember watching it through fully in my life. I have, but I couldn't tell you when. And I remembered some bits, but honestly, most of it I forgot. So I was coming into it very fresh, which I think really helped with the, as I said, mentioned, the sense of wonder.
I love how the lawyer guy just goes, we're going to be rich. Instantly convinced. He's like, I've seen a dinosaur. We are absolutely going to get fucking paid. This is what he's thinking about.
This is the start of the lawyer's transformation from lawyer to huge investor.
Yeah.
He goes from, is this legally viable, to, I need to put all of my family's money into this place. I'm going to be walking away a very rich man.
But to be fair, he is like, when he's introduced, when he's like going to talk to the guy digging out the amber, he is introduced as, I'm just here to protect all the other investors.
Yeah.
And to make sure that like it's going to work. So I think he is a lawyer, and then he just goes, fuck it, we're going to get paid.
So I had a mad couple of minutes here because we saw that first dinosaur, and my dog didn't shit himself, but he was a bit like wide-eyed and like, huh, and jumped a little bit. And then this guy starts chatting about all the money, and I'm like, capitalist shill.
Well, talking about money, we did skip over quite an important plot point. Is before the helicopter scene, is we're introduced to Newman, who is basically seen taking a bribe to do over the company. He's like, just give me your money and I'll give you all the samples so you can get up on the dinosaur bit.
Yeah, he seemed very ill-equipped for crime. He didn't seem like the most confident fella I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah, on the contrary. Yeah, he seemed a bit overconfident.
All right, he seemed confident, but bumbling. Definitely bumbling. And he had dollar signs in his eyes, no pupils anymore. after the lawyer talks about so much money, we get the name drop at 22 minutes 30.
I also wrote this down.
Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. End credits.
But this part is where like Sam Neill and Laura Dern are just like, okay, I need to know how you fucking done this, isn't it?
That's really funny you say that, because my next comment is, it does all feel wondrous. How'd you do this?
Because they basically put you on like this, the seats where like, okay, we're going to teach you how you did this. And I think it's really funny how the video that they've made to explain what's happened looks really shit compared to like the effects they've put on the dinosaurs, because it makes it feel like a real theme park from the 90s at how bad that video looks and the effects they've used, like Mr. DNA and the cut my finger, things like that. I thought it was
reminded
really
me of the animations you get bowling.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like an infomercial in PSE in school.
An interesting way of looking at Mr. DNA is he takes a good chunk of the book written by Michael Crichton and sums it up in about 2 minutes, whereas in the book it takes a while because Michael Crichton is going into all of the actual, not science, but the science that he's made to make this a reality.
The fictional science.
The science fiction science.
So what you're saying is you two are the succinct DNA and I am the Michael Crichton of making any point on this podcast.
That's the most succinct thing you've ever said.
My search for clarity overwhelms me.
But how this video goes on, and then they show like the scientists in the lab, like if that ever happened in real life, you know that would be like a fake lab where they're just actors paid to move around like equipment, like not the real actual lab. And then the three of them, like Goldblum, Laura Dern, and Sam Neill, just like, okay, we got to get off this ride. And by the way, I think at this point he has said, Richard Attenborough has said the phrase, "We have spared no expense," at least twice, right? They manage to get off this ride just by pushing off the rails so easily that it's there where you go, you've definitely spared some expense. 100%. Because no one should be able to push off the guardrails on a ride that bloody easily.
I'm wondering what else was going to happen to them, though, because they seem like really sturdy rails for just something that just spins in a circle. What is happening to them later on in this ride? While we're on them learning about the science debunking. Hey everyone, the premise of cloning dinosaurs from DNA found in fossilized mosquitoes is not actually possible. The DNA break down and decay over time of a half-life of 521 years. The more you know. Science debunking. So you mentioned that they're in the lab. It's meant to be a sterilized environment, but apparently not. Apparently they're all just allowed to walk in. This
is very good point.
It's coming in. Doors aren't even locked. Newman's probably opened them. Bloody Newman.
Did you see how like they clearly weren't allowed in, but then as soon as the scene changes and they're in the room, John Hammond leads them in? Okay, why not? Like, you've changed your tune very quickly.
It probably is meant to be a sterilized environment. They've gone in, so he's gone, but sorry, we've de-sterilized this environment, so why not? We're here.
He's like, I'm filthy, they're probably fine.
This is where we find out of how they're going to like control the dinosaurs when they're in the park. And it's like, there is no unexpected breeding in Jurassic Park. They're all female. And they say some more science that Alex can debunk later on about how they control the chromosomes. Fine. But here's a point where Jeff Goldblum utters his like famous mini monologue of life finds a way. So did you notice that there is foreshadowing in the helicopter scene where Alan Grant's putting on his seatbelts and he has two female parts of the seatbelt, like nothing to interlock into, and then he ties the things around, which is basically like him finding a way to make sure he's secure. So it's life finding a way by the females.
Oh my god, where did you find that out?
Did
you think of that yourself?
No, I'm definitely going to say this, that I didn't think of that myself, but I've just known that for years. I've known that from the previous times I've seen the films.
I've never put two and two together
I've never been more attracted to you.
Much like those dinosaurs.
Wow.
I'm surprised you guys didn't know that, and / it didn't come up in your research of the film.
No.
Wow. The idea in science to editing the chromosomes to have all of the dinosaurs be female to avoid them from reproducing is a idea that's been put forward to help eradicate malaria by causing populations of mosquitoes to be all female or at least sterile to avoid them from breeding and to lower the count of mosquitoes.
Interesting.
Did not know that. See, we're an educational podcast. Look at all the things you're learning, people at home.
And then we move on, and then they say the words, "Oh yeah, we've bred raptors." Like there's an expression on Sam Neill's face where he's like, "You have raptors." I'm not sure if he's showing excitement or fear.
I think it's fear.
You think it's fear? Because I couldn't read it. It's great acting, but I don't know which one you're trying to convey here, to be honest. Because I think it's a little bit of both, maybe.
He's already explained to a small child how this big turkey can just tear him to pieces, and now he's just been told, "I'm surrounded by these turkeys," and the turkeys in this laboratory don't seem to actually have spared no expense, because I reckon the turkeys are going to get out.
A big part of the movie, you've got a big T-Rex there, but they're not trying to create fear about the T-Rex as much as they are the Velociraptor. They try to create so much fear about the Velociraptor, because you also get the guard. So you get Robert Muldoon, I believe. He was tasked with showing people around the island, and I think he had a whole segment about the fear of velociraptors, and he talks about they're smart. If you look at one in the eye, then they'll come from the sides and they'll attack you, blah, blah, blah. So this whole film is doing a lot to make you afraid of velociraptors. And I also, the mosquito and amber thing, that's a trope in a lot of things. And if you've played Pokemon, you know that to get an Aerodactyl in all of the games, his DNA is in amber, the old amber. Whereas the other fossil Pokemon you revive are fossils. So I think
Science debunking.
Yes, kids, you can't bring fossils to life like Pokemon or Jurassic Park. I do apologise.
But this is another great bit where they're like, because I think this is now where we get the first like potential of the T-Rex, because they feed it just a whole cow.
No, that's the Velociraptor. They feed the Velociraptor a whole cow.
Oh, is it feed the Velociraptor?
But you do make a good point. Why is the T-Rex only getting a goat and the Velociraptors are getting a cow?
Yeah.
Lots of Velociraptors, one T-Rex.
Just a point here. I don't know if you guys watched this with the subtitles on.
Yeah,
I did.
But when the cow is being lowered into the crate, it says, the subtitles say, "Mooing in fear." I really enjoyed that.
That's good. I thought it was mooing in fear, but now it's been verified.
I just want to go back a few points. Obviously, they hatched a little Velociraptor in the lab. I called it a little baby demon. I didn't know that John's character, the actor who plays John Hammond, his surname is Attenborough, because I described him a number of ways in this, and one was the Colonel, KFC. But this is where I moved over and I go, oh no, he's just basically based on David Attenborough. Especially
oh my God,
about
the dinosaurs. He's based on David. This bloke does a really good David Attenborough impression, whoever he is.
He reminds me.
Oh, that's brilliant.
They're not actually related, are they?
Yeah, they are. They're brothers.
They are. It's his fucking brother.
No way.
James, do you do any research into these things before you watch them?
I didn't research this.
What you didn't see? Oh, his name is Attenborough. He kind of sounds and looks a little bit like National Treasure David Attenborough. Richard Attenborough is also National Treasure. Was a National Treasure.
But cleverly in this scene, they've not let them, just jumping back to the Velociraptor enclosure where they've given them a whole cow that's mooing in fear. They've not. they've again, this whole thing of like not showing you everything yet. They cleverly just allude to the fact that this cow's getting absolutely mullered by the Velociraptors.
Yeah,
and they don't actually show you. They just show you the destruction of it essentially. And then we move on in the film to them having like some sort of lunch where they're discussing like the ethics and the money. And I think James will love this point where the money guy just goes, "We're going to charge 10 grand. We're going to make so much effing money." And then David Attenborough goes, no. Like everyone will have the chance to go here. And the lawyer guy just goes, "Yeah, we'll do a coupon day." What the fuck is a coupon day?
A coupon day where you get a helicopter ride. Because that seems to be the only way you can get into Jurassic Park is via helicopter. So people are only coming in at 6 at a time.
And yeah, I did write down, John doesn't like capitalism. Good lad.
I've written down that. What was my point? Whereas I wrote Richard Attenborough is more leftist. Everyone needs to enjoy it. James will like that.
Yeah. And then Jeff is... but then I got annoyed because Jeff Goldblum... I should say that we should all try and say
Ian
the character's
Malcolm.
name, really, shouldn't we? Ian Malcolm, he says that John... he hounds John for not having any discipline in regards to the setup of the island and even creating dinosaurs. And then he claims John wants to sell it and he wants to sell the attraction. But literally 3 seconds before, he's just said that he wants everyone to have access to this, whether you're rich, whether you're poor. He wants to basically, he just wants to provide something amazing. So I'm like, shut up, Jeff.
But I think this is where like the character motivation is slightly different and blurred from the movie to the book. Because in the book, when I was reading, he's like very much more money orientated. He is very much like, I want all the money in the world. I want to sell everything about this park. So I will. That's why I think the irony of the spared no expense comment is everywhere. Because he keeps saying he spared no expense, but there's everything he spared no expense. He is, just cut corners everywhere as well. I think the other important bit that's brought up in this point is Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum, basically brings up of, you were so interested to see whether you could do this. You never stopped to ask if you should do this, which is always an important like ethics point. Like that's why in most high advanced science, physics, chem, bio, even in maths as well, there's always a philosophy element to the ethics of everything, which I thought was a really interesting point to bring up in this.
Following the fantastic piece of exposition that was the table scene, we move on to the start of what I would consider the most annoying part of this movie. The children have arrived. Played by Joseph Mazzello, big fame nowadays in the Pacific, the Social Network.
Who is he in the Social Network?
He's Dustin Moskowitz.
Is he?
He is.
That's cool. I didn't get that. That's cool. I like that.
It's also in the Queen movie as well, whatever that was. And Ariana Richards, she didn't really do much. She did Tremors and was in the Jurassic Park series.
But what she did do that came up in my research is that she became really fucking interested in dinosaurs, that she actually went to some excavations and digs with actual paleontologists.
That's so good.
Cool. She went on a dig with the paleontologist that advised on the movie.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
He was the inspiration for Dr. Grant, which is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
Considering she spends half the fucking film screaming.
Yeah, she hates dinosaurs in the film, and Timmy loves the dinosaurs almost too much.
Yeah, the children have arrived, and it's tour time. They
are John's grandkids.
They are John's grandkids.
Question: was the guy you keep saying Newman about?
Newman.
He's John's son in the film?
No.
So in that scene where we actually also finally meet in person Samuel L. Jackson, where they're like behind the scenes on, is this tour going to actually work? And then they have that argument and he goes, Dad. I think he's just responding of like, in that thing where someone says something to you and it's like trying to look after you, but in a really condescending way. It's like when you reply going, thanks, Dad.
I thought he was introduced as my son.
No. So in the books, that character, Nendry, I think his actual character name is, he's in the books, he's brought in as like a contractor to build all the IT and the network and stuff. And then basically John Hammond kept telling him to do more things. And that was like sort of out of the original scope. And then he started he wanted to renegotiate and ask for more money for doing extra work, essentially. And then John Hammond said, basically disparaged his entire career by like bad mouthing him around to other people, that then he had to end up doing the work for less money, essentially. That's why his motivation of I want to take this bribe and give away all your research is in, because he's like fucked him over essentially. He's not going to pay him as much as he should be paying, which again is this whole irony of has he actually spared no expense? Of course he has it. He's cut corners everywhere. He's underpaying people. He's, you know, not building his part correctly essentially.
You do make a very good point that this man is willing to just send his children off on a tour that no one has done before. He's happy to send his grandchildren off to become dino feed.
And he refers to them as the target audience.
Yeah.
Which is, if that's not business, I don't know what is.
Agreed, that is definitely a business thought. But the kids are definitely the target audience for a dinosaur theme park. 100%.
I think that kids are the target audience for a dinosaur theme park without real dinosaurs. A dinosaur theme park with real dinosaurs. I think the target audience is everybody.
I agree with that. But then the same thing could be said, he's spared no expense. Is that him, and he's sending off his grandkids to go on a tour that no one's done before? Is that him basically saying, I am so confident that this is 100% safe and 100% going to be amazing that I'm willing to send my own grandkids there?
No, this is him needing to fill up the car. Fuel's expensive.
I feel like there's definitely a bit of that in the sense of it could definitely be seen as a whole big almost bit of theatre to show the scientists that are there to sign off on the park to be like, I trust my grandchildren to go. And we do see in the film that he is very worried about his grandkids later on. He does care for them. He's not that shitty. Maybe it is cynical.
But then here we get like the beginning of a dinosaur tour with no dinosaurs.
So first they arrive at the is it Diplodocus?
No, it was I have it written down. 2 seconds. Dilophosaurus?
Yeah, that's as close as I was going to get because I looked at that word and went, I'm going to let James try this.
Dilophosaurus. Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, but despite their name, they're not actually that funny.
I just want to interject with one point here. Remember how easy it was for James to name every single Digimon?
Yeah.
And it rolled off his tongue so easily. I'm glad he's now struggling with dinosaur names.
He's struggling with dinosaur names and bargain hunt. They go to the Diplosaurus enclosure.
That was wrong.
No Diplosauruses in it.
Still wrong.
Who cares? If there's paleontologists listening to this, please feel free to write into @JamesRobbins on Twitter. He'll be happy to respond to all of your messages.
God, I've not even got my @ right.
Sorry, @BigDickRobbins. They arrive at the enclosure. There are no dinosaurs in it. Then they move on to the T-Rex enclosure that only has a goat in it by the end of it.
Why do they keep using live animals? Like, just put some dead animals there, for fuck's sake.
I've written in my notes at various points going, animal cruelty, more animal cruelty, animal cruelty.
Just it's probably more, buying the animal whole and live is probably cheaper than 150 ribeyes.
Yeah, you'd hate to have the T-Rex complain that he ordered it medium.
I asked for Wagyu.
Mine, it was medium rare. It was a bit raw for me.
Trying to pick it. Now imagine T-Rex with a knife and fork.
Trying to season. For anyone who can't see what we're doing, just get your arms in T-Rex mode.
This is why,
and try and cut some stuff up.
Okay, if this isn't motivation to make this podcast huge, we need to be big enough that an animator watches us, and I need someone to animate a T-Rex trying to season the steak and eat it,
and then trying a bit and going, "Ooh, bit overdone that."
He's got a blonde 2009 bob now, and he's asking to talk to the manager.
Karen Rex.
So at this point, I put why. Obviously, they're using the goat for the T-Rex food. I put what, and we've just as touched on. Why are they using live stuff? But I noticed that Jeff Goldblum licks his lips a lot, and he does a lot of mouth movements, and
he's a very sexy man.
This isn't sexy.
Do a lot of mouth movements. Yeah,
I didn't like this, but then this does lead to him being he calls the T-Rex an essence of chaos, and then he starts to explain chaos theory, and the man is flirting to a level that I couldn't even comprehend.
He is flirting with Ellie, but a nice little factoid for you. They do actually get together after this movie. They were together for I think 2 years. I think they got engaged at one point.
Wow.
But Jeff Goldblum does have a habit of getting together with co-stars.
I'm in defense of Jeff Goldblum. I would as well.
You don't have to defend him. I love him. Just those the licks were making me uncomfortable. But the water on the hand, I would swoon.
Right, very quickly about the water. Very quickly about the water on the hand. I really, really enjoyed this conversation between them two, because, like, objectively
because it turned you on as much as it did Ellie.
Aside from that, these are like the characters. They are two geniuses and experts within their own field, in their own right. Yeah, but like Ellie is like not really comprehending or understanding what Jeff Goldblum is trying to tell her and teach her about chaos theory, which is fine. But it's always really good when like two experts talk to each other about who are from two completely different sciences and can respect each other and just try and learn about each other's fields. Because if you're not to a high enough level of that field, obviously you can just look like an idiot to someone else, but they are there respecting each other's intellect. And I think it's in this point or around this point where they have that also philosophical thing of Jeff Goldblum says, God creates dinosaurs, God destroys dinosaurs, God creates man, man destroys God, man creates dinosaurs. And then I love the little line at the end that goes,
from Ellie.
Yeah, dinosaurs destroys men, women inherit the earth.
Dinosaurs eat men.
Dinosaurs eat men. That's it.
Women inherit the earth.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
There was to touch on dinosaurs. Dilophosaurus, we were told was poisonous, and I tried to take down every note on the specifics of the dinosaurs, like the Velociraptor being big and having the claw, the Dilophosaurus being poisonous. We knew, like, as soon as they said anything like that, we knew we were going to see them at some point. So, it's coming.
Mm. And this is the bit where they're like, they get out of the vehicle.
Well, Alan gets out of the vehicle because he's annoyed at the Riz.
Yeah, but he like notices there's something wrong and finds an ill, what dinosaur was it? Triceratops. Quick aside, through this film, were you also begging just to do the Power Rangers thing? Of Triceratops. Yeah, thank you, James. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Brilliant.
Mastodon.
Anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Alex is disgusted. Alex, I want to give you an opportunity here.
I'm really excited to talk about dinosaurs, and I started talking about fucking Power Rangers.
For me, this was the first part in the film when you could moan about the annoying little fucking children and why Timmy needs to shut the up. Oh my God.
No, I didn't actually find them that annoying at this point because I don't think there was time to find them annoying. They ask a lot of questions, and Ellie does like a little because they're annoying Dr. Grant, which is very strange. Like I don't know if she wants his babies or she just wants him to be better around children. I don't understand. But anyway, she moves on from there to go stick her hand in some feces. Because when you see a dinosaur you love, you want to stick your hand in its poo.
Can I just talk about what I wrote about Timmy here? The dinosaurs did become modern birds, you little shit. I don't want him to die, but I do want a raptor to shut him up.
Wait, you want a raptor to slap him about like it's some sort of gangster?
Yeah, I don't want him to die. I just want him to be like, no. Nah.
In this part, it's great when Jeff Goldblum just goes up and goes, that is one big pile of shit.
I was going to write that down. I thought it was too cliche and they should have moved on.
It's in the chuckle chart.
Is it in the chuckle chart?
Yeah.
Nice. I like
now
that.
that's one big pile of shit.
I like that. I really, really enjoyed that.
He's not turned off by the fact she stuck her hand in some shit. He's more like, this is good. We know where her boundary is, and it's past poop.
Wash your and what was it? I hope you wash your hands. Better wash your hands before you eat anything.
It's really good. But this is where this is the film. We basically reached like the halfway point in the film, and this is where it just keeps rolling and rolling because this is where the attacks and the action starts happening. Like they're like told we need to come back to the hurricane's going to hit. We need to come back to the like safety house, the main building, and then T-Rex. And it is such cool. It's so infamous and it's so famous that like even though I know exactly what's going to happen, it is still so just cool to watch. It's so well done.
I watched it with the sense of like you said, it's very cool. You know what's going to happen, but the sense of dread and fear and the momentum behind it, like they've broken down right outside the T-Rex because of Newman. He's turned everything off. They've broke down right outside of the T-Rex. All the electrics go off. You sort of see the little claw on the thing as it's like testing whether the electricity is off because it's like, the lights have gone. Let's have a little, that works. And then all the cables start breaking and you're like, we're about to be introduced to the main character.
Yeah. The star, like Steven Spielberg, when he talks about the film, he actually talks about the T-Rex being the star of the movie, which is a really interesting way of looking at it. And this is also the bit where the money guy runs out of the car and goes into the toilet to hide. He's not going to the toilet. Nature hasn't called. He's going to hide.
Another fantastic Goldblum line.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
The build-up, like the water moving in the cup, is so iconic. It's so well known. It still gives me goosebumps watching it now.
There's some. I've got a few little factoids about some little quirks during the production, from what we've just been talking about. So there were no dinosaurs on set, so they had to. I know. Can you believe it? So they had
no
to
dinosaurs were harmed in the making of this movie.
They had to use their imaginations, and you've probably seen it before with CGI. There's often things with tennis balls on to get line of sight, etc. But Steven Spielberg would attempt to help the actors by making dinosaur noises on set, and Sam Neill didn't really like this. And at the Raptor pen, he said he was holding a bullhorn and roaring in a not very convincing way. And he said it's difficult enough to act to a tennis ball, but it's even harder when you're trying not to laugh.
That's brilliant.
The poo that they put their hands in was a great bit of practical effects, where it was a mixture of clay, mud, straw, innocuous objects to make it look gross when mixed together, and to make it look even more grim, they drizzled it with honey to attract flies to it to sell the illusion.
That's nice.
And then go on.
No, I was gonna say, are you also gonna say about how they got the water to do that in a cup?
No, so you can lead on to that, but I am going to talk about the T-Rex.
Yeah, go on.
So the T-Rex. So I wrote down that the hurricane coming in was a great plot device to like try and force people off the island. Like, it forces the villain character really off the island who stole the embryos. He needs to rush off later on.
Well, no, he was already planning to rush off the island.
Okay.
His whole plan was to get them and fuck off. He needed to do it quicker because the captain of the boat he was going to go on was like, you've only got 15 minutes. He was like, I need at least 20.
What I want to get on is the rain makes being nighttime and rain leads into the CGI looking better than it is. Yeah, because it helps to hide it a little bit. There's less detail required, and it does look the dinosaurs in the rain and nighttime do look a lot better. However, the T-Rex was the suspense with the water. The T-Rex is meant to be terrifying, and it is a quite scary scene when you first see the T-Rex.
quite scary.
Quite scary, but they're very, if you're there, they're very scary. The T-Rex was quite scary for crew members because the water seeped into it and affected the electronics, and it would cause it to randomly, the practical effect T-Rex, it would cause the animatronics to randomly go off and it to start swinging and shaking its head around.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, it would just malfunction and shake unexpectedly.
So do you know how they actually managed to get the effect of the water moving in the cup? They were trying for ages to get the practical effect to work, and they could not get it to work properly. That basically what happened was Steven Spielberg was asking, like, do you have the effect? Are you ready for the effect for ages? And he was like, yeah, we've got it. Full well knowing they didn't have it. And then until the night before, they realized that putting a cup of water on top of guitar strings and then strumming the guitar would make the water move like that. So that's how they did it. They put guitar strings underneath the water and then strummed it at the right points. That's really cool, isn't it?
I did not know that. That is very good.
So yeah, as I said, this is why like the effects still hold up, because there's a great mixture of like the CGI, the animatronics, the practical effects, which is why 20 years later, this film, the effects still hold up for me.
I get to move on to my favourite bit now. Why we hate these children, the most annoying characters in the film, earn their name. Now, it's quite scary with a T-Rex coming at you. Is there any need to scream all the time? Even and oh my god, why would you turn on a torch?
So I think she's turning on the torch to get Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill's attention.
Don't worry. They're watching what's going on. She does not need to get their attention. They've seen the big T-Rex come through the fence. They do not need to be told. By the way, guys, big T-Rex. They've also noticed that the lawyer has gone. They're watching this whole thing. Does she think they're just sat there listening to like Lionel Richie or something? What an idiot. Anyway, the light in the car, the endless screaming. Oh my god!
But so here's where Timmy was annoying for me, is that he's smart enough to remember that T-Rexes move on like movement and lights and things. So he tells her turn off the light, but then he's not smart enough to realize, okay, I shouldn't close the door because that will create a sound that the T-Rex will react to.
I'm not entirely against them closing the door, because if it was me, I would be like, well, you got to close the door because the T-Rex will just come through the door. Look at the size of it. It's obviously just going to see an open door and be like, oh, pack lunch with the roof half off.
But this whole scene is so tense. It's so well done. And I'm just going to say that in this scene is the idea of my worst nightmare. The money guy who's run to the toilet is now sat on the toilet, not actually going to the toilet. But then for the T-Rex to attack him, that's my worst nightmare. That is my worst nightmare.
You're definitely going to die on the toilet. Like you will definitely die on the toilet. You might be 93, but it will be on the toilet. Something me and Elvis have in common.
That's cut.
Very different reasons.
That's cut. There's no reference to the death of the king. No, not allowing that. The only reason that the lawyer does actually die on the toilet, though, is because Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum's characters both decide to wave a flare, which does distract the dinosaur, but unfortunately did give Sam Neill some really excruciating burns because he was burned by the red phosphorus coming off the flare.
Yeah.
I'll ask a question. So the T-Rex, Sam Neill threw it, and the T-Rex almost like played fetch. But then for some reason, Jeff Goldblum's character waves it around and attracts it away from the flare it was running to. And I was very confused about this, because that's when then he has to run into the toilet. But I am happy because it forces that prick of a lawyer to get eaten.
The prick of the lawyer did not deserve to die while he's not actually mid-turd, but you can sort of see as he dies he is mid-turd because he's aware of the situation.
Look, no one in the film needed to die, but were you mad that the lawyer was killed? You knew it was going to happen.
Beg to differ. Spoilers for anyone. Spoilers. You can skip forward 15 seconds if you're listening on Spotify. Samuel Jackson's death. He didn't need to die. He dies and everything.
True. We need to come on to it later because I've got another factoid about it.
I don't remember.
T-Rex on the roof of the car attacking the kids. The roof of that car, the glass, is so freaking strong. And the kids are just fucking kicking it up to stop the T-Rex from eating them. And if that was the animatronic T-Rex head, Alex, you had down that it was £12,000.
£1,200.
No, £12,000.
£12,000.
£12,000. Oh, maybe I should have done this factoid.
2 children trying to, like...
Can you imagine if that thing fell on them?
Yeah, but to be fair, in the scene, you can see them getting pushed into the mud. So I do think like they're not pushing back. They're just getting pushed down.
No, it's the bit where they're under the glass.
In the car seats before the T-Rex rolled it.
Where the T-Rex is having that experience that I always have when I go to Subway, where I'm like, oh, it looks delicious, but it's behind the glass and I just can't get to it.
And
or it's like when you put your hand in a Pringles tube and you can't reach the fast Pringles, and you're like, why won't my hand fit?
And now your hand is small and you're growling like a T-Rex as well. I totally get it. The poor thing.
There's the trope, the story beat that goes through this whole film is a T-Rex can't see you if you don't move, which the film itself debunks that multiple times with the T-Rex clearly seeing them when they're still. But that is in what's believed to be completely bullshit in modern science, whereas T-Rexes were likely extremely intelligent and would have been yes, scary because it's a big giant running thing with teeth, but they apparently were so intelligent because dinosaurs were big. They had massive brains. This
not big enough brains to build something to take the asteroid away, though.
Yeah, no, probably tried to catch it, but its arms are too short. But that's another thing. They are theorised to have tiny hands, but you have to then remember that scale of a T-Rex was so huge that their arms would have been about a 6-foot-plus man, and they were muscly as hell. So their arms, although maybe useless, were probably strong as anything.
Yet another educational point on this podcast. T-Rexes were hench. So next time you're at the gym, just imagine a T-Rex flexing in the mirror as it eats the children behind the glass.
Just after this, okay, I think we should move on from the T-Rex scene, but I think fundamentally we're all just saying it's so good. It's so tense, and the effects are done so well. But interspersed is where we see Wayne Knight, Nedry, trying to get off the island, where he comes up against the Dilophosaurus, the like poisonous one, and he actually tries to play fetch with it. He's like, "There's a stick, fetch it," and it just keeps coming back to him. Like he's like, "Fetch, no, I'm interested in you and only you. I am going to kill you."
Did you guys have the same thought I had at this point where we haven't seen a Velociraptor yet, and we haven't seen a Dilophosaurus yet. So I didn't know what it was. I assumed Dilophosaurus because I thought it was the T-Rex, not the T-Rex, the Velociraptors come in later, but wasn't sure until it spit at him. I was like, it's the venomous one.
I love the bit in that scene where he loses his glasses, though.
Did it remind you of the In-Betweeners?
No, it reminded me of Scooby-Doo.
Why? Oh, what, Velma?
Yeah, but he loses his glasses and he's like, "Where are my glasses?" And then he immediately catches himself and goes, "I can buy new glasses." Which imagine if Velma had done that. Imagine how fast Scooby-Doo would have been.
In my head, I had the scene from In-Betweeners of Will losing his glass when she throws away his glasses, and he just keeps going, "I've lost my glasses. I've lost my glasses." and then she shouts, "Will, are you coming into the water? As soon as I find my glasses, I'll be in the sea with all of you other lovely naked ladies."
We find the Dilophosaurus does end up spitting on Wayne Knight and on Newman. He was filming Seinfeld, but the problem is when the Dilophosaurus spat on him, they used like purple goo as the venom. And he had to go back to Seinfeld, and they had to apply extra makeup to him so that the purple wouldn't show on his skin.
Oh, that's really interesting, actually. I wonder what episode that's in.
Wow. Look at you with little Seinfeld bullets to fire at us.
When I went back to shoot a Seinfeld episode, I came back while we were shooting Jurassic Park. I said, you know when you did the thing with the spitter, they go, yeah, it kind of dyed my face purple. And the dinosaur creator goes, yeah, it'll do that. So yeah, there's a big makeup problem. They're like, and they basically said, don't blink because we'll do it again.
That's good.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Now that Newman has unfortunately departed this world for better climes, mainly Jerry's apartment, we get the scene where Ellie and Muldoon, is that his name?
I think so, yeah.
Victor Von Doom, go out in a guest jeep to try and rescue the stricken. Well, they try and find the team, but only manage to find the sexiest man on the island, Jeff Goldblum, and I imagine bits of the lawyer. There's got to be a bit of the lawyer maybe a hand.
They do say, I imagine this is the remains of the lawyer.
Oh, do they really? Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but then Ellie also goes, and I think this is too. And they're quite far apart from each other when they're
I didn't know that.
it.
I thought it just ate the lawyer. I didn't know that. I thought he took the wrapping off before eating him. I didn't know.
He left some bits behind. Lawyer was really sleazy. Maybe he was sick.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, they find Jeff Goldblum, stick him in the back of the Rex wagon, and then we get, I think, possibly one of the best CGI chases I've ever seen, especially for the time. Like as we've said earlier, it's all groundbreaking stuff, never been done before. This T-Rex is chasing them. It appears in a mirror. That's pretty cool. Where objects may appear.
Yeah, I did really like that.
And then it starts attacking. I do take slight issue with the way it tries to take the Jeep off the road. I feel like if I was the T-Rex, I would just dip in for a snack.
What he's trying to do is obviously like knock them off, like slow them down, I think.
Yeah, he's trying to get a full 3 course. I would just probably, I've already opened the door of the fridge. I would probably just have a little nibble.
In this scene, I did really like, there's a line that Jeff Goldblum speaks, he goes, must go faster, in that like charismatic Jeff Goldblum way.
Uh-huh.
But the director of Independence Day loved that line so much, he put it in Independence Day as well.
Nice.
Have you guys seen Independence Day?
I have.
I've not seen any films. Is what we seem to discover when we talk about films.
It's in that scene where they're getting chased by the aliens, and he says to Will Smith, basically, must go faster, must go faster. It's really good. Go watch Independence Day, everyone, as well. So before we move on to the next morning, like we get the scene of Alan and the kids, like how they've escaped the T-Rex, like by climbing into a tree. And then they see that lovely shot of what that dinosaur called again, the herbivores?
Brachiosaurus.
Thank you. And there's a really nice, again, a nice philosophical thing of the girl saying, Ariana Richards, saying, oh my God, they're monsters. And Alan just goes, no, they're not monsters. They're animals. They're just doing what they do, basically. Like, I think it's kind of alluding to the fact that man is the monster in this, where we've thrust this thing upon our earth. Like, we're the bad people for doing this. They're just animals. They just, want to live and survive and, just crack on with things. So I actually thought that was a really nice moment. And then at the scene when they fall asleep, Alan drops that like raptor nail that he was terrifying the other little annoying kid at the beginning of the film with, which I think is sort of to signify, do you know what? I actually love kids now.
He's at least much nicer to the kids, and I just, so you've taken that in a different direction. I forgot he had a claw and was like, oh no, it's a raptor nest. They're gonna get fucked.
Oh, really?
But that's nice actually, because I'm like, oh, this is the first nice moment of him with the kids.
No, but I took it as immense gaslighting, because she's like, what happens if it comes back? And he's like, I'll stay up all night. And she's like, you'll stay up all night? He's like, all night. Wrong.
But it was a really nice moment when they woke up in the morning and then they see the one that's eating like really close to them, and they like try and pet it, and then I'm gonna say this might have made the chuckle chart, James, when it sneezed in her face.
Nah.
That made me laugh.
She fully deserved it though, because yet again she just screams.
So I
just screams, very unhelpful.
But this is where an important point came out, where they come up and they find the little dinosaur eggs in the wild. And this is where Jeff Goldblum is always proved right of life found a way. And then Alan Grant in his in the fakey science of the film, they say, they combined the dino DNA with frogs. And, some frogs have been known to change genders in single sex environments. That does have an actual thing in real science of tadpoles can change their sex, but really early on. And then also other types of fish and animals can change their sex depending on what environment they're in.
I think there's also some animals that can reproduce asexually as well in stressful environments where they can't mate. And I did wonder if that's where they were going to go down. I wasn't sure. And I was wondering where the frogs came in, because that was something I vividly remember as a kid, but it wasn't mentioned for ages. I thought I made it up. We find out, and it becomes important later, that Lex is a hacker. And Timmy's being a freaking little menace. He's like, "Yeah, you're a nerd." She said, "No, I'm a hacker." And he's like, "That's what I said." Which I did find quite funny.
Nerd.
The next thing that we see is very, very intense. Jeffrey Goldblum, sitting on the table, injured. He's down but not out, of course, as we know about Jeff. He always comes back. He's a plucky little Goldblum. And he's injured, and I think this is the part of the story where they're discussing how they get the park back under their control. And it all comes from turning it off and turning it back on again.
Yeah, I read that as well. As people who work in an industry where people just go, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" I loved it. Really enjoyed it.
I can't tell you how many times at work I've been looking into an issue and someone's gone, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" It's like, obviously I did that first.
But I love that it's the solve. They're very confident this is what fixes it.
But again, I just want to bring up how cool Samuel Jackson looks in this film again at this point. He's just talking, cigarettes just moving about. He looks so good. I'm not sure who's actually sexier in this film, Jeff Goldblum or Samuel Jackson.
And the fact they're in the same scene together. My God, the fact that Richard Attenborough's trousers stayed on through this whole scene was staggering. R.I.P. by the way, Richard.
I just feel like we're in lots of important scenes now.
Yeah,
the film is rolling. It's the first hour is all build up, and it's all so good and maintained and so well done build up that you don't really notice it that much. And then the last hour is just so fast paced, action scene to action scene to action scene to important scene to important scene to action to important. It's so good. It's 2 hours and 10-ish long, but it's so well paced. It's so good.
Turning it off and on again does drive a lot of the next few scenes, because it is forcing the characters to go somewhere. So Arnold, which is Samuel, and Ellie they're going to go. They have to. They've switched things back on, but it hasn't turned the power back on. I also haven't talked about the incredible line from Ellie where she's like, "We can discuss sexism in survival situations later."
Oh, I knew you were going to mention that one.
Of course I am.
I literally heard that in the film, that's got James written all over it. There's that one sorted.
It was good though.
It's a good line. It's a really good line, but I knew you were going to let that pass us by. The scene where Ellie and Muldoon are going to the compound, because the way that Samuel Jackson describes the compound originally is he's like, "Oh, it's 300 yards across the compound. It's dead easy to get to. It's the easiest walk you'll ever do." Oh, is it 3 minutes? He's 3 minutes away. And as they're going through, that's the tension at this point. There isn't much tension around the T-Rex, but around the Velociraptors there is tension. And when he's laid out already in the film, as you say, Chandler, it's perfectly balanced. He explains how they attack and how they do things, but he falls into their trap particularly quickly. He's like, I see it. I'm going to shotgun it in the face. If you just want to go down there, I found this one, so I'll just pop this one off, and then I'll be with you in a minute.
Yeah, he said earlier, if you look at one, the other one's going to come from the side. And what happens? He's looking at one, and the other one comes from the side, and he's dead.
With a staggering line to close himself out of...
Clever girl.
Fantastic.
It's so good.
It's a fun...
It's so good.
He loves the raptors, but he fears them. He respects them. It's how a hunter should be.
What we've actually brushed over, this overarching thing of this 35, 40 minutes of the film, no one really cares about the danger that this. No one from the park side cares about the danger that this actually provides. It only takes someone dying to them go, oh shit, there's actually some danger here, probably. Mm-hmm. Like, how before you get to all this, they just go, we're going to breed dinosaurs. No one's gone, yeah, I think that's a bad idea. People will die. They never stop to think if they should do it.
But it's also in these sets of scenes where, so I think the first time we actually see a velociraptor is the time where Ellie finds, I can't remember his character name, so I'm just going to call him Samuel Jackson's arm. Arnold. The first time they get his arm lands on her shoulder, and then the velociraptor tries to come through the mesh. That's the first time I think we actually come face to face with one. All we've done up to this point is hear about them. Sort of saw it a bit at the start of the film, but this is the first time we've come face to face with about 15 minutes left of the movie.
But again, I think as we said earlier on in the podcast, like the trick of like, there's only 15 minutes of screen time for dinosaurs in a 2 out of 10 film. Like, it's so well done that you don't actually care that the Velociraptor's only in really at the end. It's so good.
It's really tense though. So that when the Velociraptors are in, Ellie's had to turn the breakers back on. And I was like, of course, there's a scene going on simultaneously where Dr. Grant is taking the kids to climb over a turned off electric fence. One, he throws a bit of wood at the electric fence. That wouldn't have done anything, right? Wood doesn't conduct electricity. Nothing would have happened.
No.
I can get behind that.
I think. And then he's fearful of touching it, but he does touch it.
But here's the other thing. Like, we've already established at this point that he sort of loves these kids now. But then he still takes pleasure in terrifying the crap out of them.
Yeah, but
the joy has not, even though he now has gone from hating kids to loving kids, the joy he expresses at terrifying them is still brilliant.
But as you just said, they're not respecting these dinosaurs. And on this island where they're clearly being hunted by either a T-Rex or Velociraptor or whatever it is that might be following them, they know that they're around and they're close by. They've seen the T-Rex too many times. He then chooses to just scream.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a very good point, actually.
Which does attract the T-Rex because it then rolls.
But the grabbing the fence and scaring the kids was brilliant. I did enjoy that. That did make the chuckle chart.
Nice.
Had to make the chuckle chart. They climb the fence, but that is at the same time, Ellie is putting the breakers on. And I was like, of course the button is at the bottom. This is going to be tense.
It is really tense. It is. Really
and
tense.
I know they're going to be fine, but they subverted my expectations because I thought they'd all get off of it just in time. And Timmy is struggling to climb and get over. And I'm like, don't worry, he'll jump on. And like, I thought Dr. Grant will catch him and it'll all be fine. Dr. Grant does, I think, catch him, but it's because Ellie has switched on that breaker. Timmy has been fucking fried and launched, absolutely yeeted. He has been sent by this electric fence, and I am dying with laughter because his body is also so stiff. his arms are like, and his legs are so straight, and his arms are like he's riding a bicycle. And
so who knew that James loved child abuse?
I don't love
child
abuse,
electrocution, apparently.
I didn't expect it. He didn't die. It's not electrocution.
No, he is electrocuted.
He's still getting
he gets electric shock. I don't want to bore you with semantics, but electrocution specifically means death by electric shock.
But again, the children are being very annoying.
Yes, so fair enough, zap him.
He could have saved Dr. Grant a lot of stress there by just jumping off the fence. I don't know why he doesn't want to jump off the fence, because he seems pretty, like, the alarm is sounding and he's obviously like, something's going to happen now. But a little part of him's thinking, this could be quite fun.
Like he'd done the hard bit. He couldn't climb a tree earlier, but he's already climbed up the fence. He's climbing down the other side. And over. He's done the hard bit. Come on, zip on down. But no, he gets absolutely sent by this fence. And I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to happen. And I was crying.
I also really enjoyed, like, after this, and they've resurrected Timmy. That Dr. Grant leaves
resurrected Timmy.
Well, he was dead, wasn't he? He gave him CPR. Resurrected. No,
technically he was electrocuted then.
Yeah, it's giving him CPR.
It was funny.
He leaves him in a room just with a massive buffet. Like, That age, what are they going to do? They're just going to go, like, stay here, stay safe. They're just going to eat the food. That's all they're going to do in that room.
I love that that's his reward. You've been electrocuted, you get jello. You get jelly. You can have some jelly for being electrocuted.
Yeah, but Ellie celebrated turning on that breaker so hard. I put, don't celebrate too hard. You murdered a child.
But yeah, if it was now, her WhatsApp would have just been picking up with Dr. Grant going, "You think you're funny?"
Yeah. I thought Timmy should be fried. And that's what he said. You've just fried Timmy.
But then just moving us off the slightly laughter point of this is where we now get the really tense raptor scene against the kids.
The kitchen, the iconic kitchen scene.
That's the one scene I remember, but just to make the point, everyone's back together now. Well, I say everyone's a few dead people, but Ellie and Dr. Grant are back together. The kids are together there with John.
But here's a question. You guys have gone on this whole pod about hating these kids. Did you want the raptors to win, or did you want the kids to survive?
You see, I sort of wanted a draw. I wanted one kid and one raptor to die. Let's have a raptor and a kid gone. Let's have a good old western as
and like they've defined the kid's intelligence. Like Timmy's a snarky ass dinosaur lover. Lex is a hacker, and they've also established now another hilarious bit of the film, which is completely unhinged. I don't think they need to do it. But the Velociraptors being able to open doors with the handles.
I wrote that down.
That was so funny. I found that so funny. But they defined where their intelligence is and where it ends. But it begins at opening doors, but it ends at identifying reflections.
Well, reflections are hard. That's
True.
why we have like houses of mirrors. They fool humans as well. But just before we get really into this scene, can I just give a nice little factoid on it? So this scene took 2 weeks to film because of the physical exertion of the stuntmen who had to. So some of it is CGI, some of it is actual people in
animatronics,
dinosaur costume. Yeah. But to film the scene, the stuntmen had to be hunched over in almost a ski position, which is very difficult to do in that costume for more than 15 minutes a day.
Wow, that's mental. Actually,
that's incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible.
My back hurts just waking up, let alone doing that.
Yeah, doing 15 minutes of work a day. It definitely could have been done in 4 days, but they were going, oh no, only 15 minutes, only 15 minutes. It's a phenomenal scene, mainly because this is yet again the one final moment of the children being incredibly annoying.
I don't think they were annoying. I think they did fantastically.
She hides in the dumbwaiter that she doesn't quite fit in, and she can't close the door on.
Yeah, but she has done so well here because Timmy's fallen apart. He can't do anything. And we've seen through the entire film how Lex is terrified of the dinosaurs. She is petrified. Doesn't matter if they're Metasauruses or Vegiosauruses, as they were calling them. She was terrified. But in this moment, she sees that her brother is in pieces. Also, his legs all messed up because
he's about to be in pieces.
He's fallen out a tree. He's had a car fall on him. He's had a T-Rex attack him in a car, and he's been electrocuted. Like he's gone through a lot, but now he can't. It's taken him enough time, but he's fallen apart. But they've heard him, and she's like running off, and she's making noises with the kitchen utensils to attract the Velociraptors. She's sending those Velociraptors on a right little loop.
She also locks one of them in the freezer, I think, if I remember rightly.
Timmy does that because he gets knocked in.
Timmy locks
right?
it in.
And she, in the dumbwaiter, she does get a little lucky, as you say. She gets in the dumbwaiter, but that's when the Velociraptor sees her reflection and it runs and it basically knocks itself out, running into the reflection in the stainless steel cupboard door.
But there are two of them, and I love the idea that one of the Velociraptors falls into the dumbwaiter, and the other one's just standing there going, "What are you like, Larry? What are you? She's got you again. She's got you again." With a bloody reflecting cabinet. She's got you. She's got you, mate. You've been made to look a right tosser there.
Yeah, but then that one gets up and he's like, "You're locked to the freezer. You're locked to the freezer."
Oh, Dave, honestly, you're in the freezer now.
Call me cousin, because you're locked to the freezer.
But they do win in the end. The whole scene is really tense, and it's really well done, and again, it's really famous. The whole film is famous. I sort of want to move on to when they get into the other room and Lex is like, oh my God, I'm a hacker. It's a Unix system. I know this. Bullshit. Because it's, again, like I said in Digimon, like there's this whole thing in the 90s of like Hollywood doesn't really understand of how computers actually work.
Yeah.
And it's just so incredible just to watch her going through this, like, not the right file, not the right file, not the right... I'm like, really? Is that, like... It's just amazing how you go through, like, 20 years of Hollywood just not understanding how computers work.
I love how pivotal, though, this whole movie revolves around doors locking. Like, if a door locks, if the doors had stayed locked, this whole movie would have been 5 minutes of them going, let's just turn the power back on.
Well, the movie is questioned science. So, like, just because we can, should we? But it's also questioned technology. And there is a point from John where it's like, it's maybe question automation. So no more automation. And I'm like, cool. He would hate AI.
But then he also needs to pay his workers correctly, so none of them want to fuck him over. Now they've locked that Velociraptor out of the place because she's finally found the file that she needs to, like, so the doors work again. They're like happy, and then they go out into the room. But then how does the other one? Because then the two Velociraptors come in. How does the other one get out of the freezer?
Well, obviously it knows that there's an emergency lock in the freezer because you don't want to get caught in there.
I don't think it's that one because they mentioned there's 3 Velociraptors at some point, I believe.
Yeah.
Or like one's been dealt with and there's more.
Fine, okay.
They did mention something, but I can't remember it. But also, it opens doors again. So what we've learned during this film, and to touch on evolution, they talk about evolution a lot in this film. And Alex, at first, I wasn't sure if this film would fit perfectly, but actually it's, I think, perfect.
I think so.
But the film obviously is clearly deciding that humans didn't evolve from apes, but we just evolved from velociraptors who developed opposable thumbs.
No, so it tries to open the window, and then obviously it works out that the door has been locked, and it thinks, oh, you crafty little buggers. However, you can't lock a window, and decides to send itself through a window, which I've never put myself through a window. Axel Foley has, and he says it hurts. It's a Beverly Hills Cop joke. If either of you got it, I would have been very impressed.
I'll laugh at you. There you go, Charlie. You can edit that in.
It works out that it can put itself through a window, because when they're on the phone to Dr. Hammond, he's not Dr. Hammond, when they're on the phone to John Hammond, they do give him a bit of explanation on the phone and say, oh my God, it's come through the window, but have enough time to run to the other room and climb into the roof.
Is that where he shouts, my grandkids or something on the phone?
Yeah, it is.
So he does care about them, even though he's put them in this terrible situation.
Like the Velociraptor would have heard it.
yeah, it would.
But then we get to the final stage bit of the film. The Velociraptors are about to eat them, and then the T-Rex comes and gets them first.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible bit. It is a really, really good bit, and it's really well done. But did you know that wasn't the original ending for the film?
No.
You always come with the alternate endings. You always do.
So apparently, you know the bit where they fall down out of the roof and they fall into the bone structure of the T-Rex, and all the bones go everywhere. Originally, what was supposed to happen is that the bones fly off and stab the Velociraptors, essentially, or something to that effect. But then Steven Spielberg basically said, that's shit.
Yeah, I'm glad, because that sounds shit.
And then asked people to give him their ideas of how they could end this film. And basically, he also then rejected all of those and just went, I know, the T-Rex is the star of the film. He's going to come and eat them, which is great.
I loved it.
It's a great ending.
It's also a lovely calming moment for the T-Rex after because up until this point, it's just been eat everything, kill everything. It's now had a lovely Velociraptor meal. It's been beautifully seasoned, cooked to perfection as it wanted it. And it's just calm. The ribbon falls down. It's gone, what a beautiful meal this has been. Honestly, the staff have taken such good care of me. I couldn't have hoped for better. 5 out of 5 on Google reviews.
So yeah, the T-Rex is happy. Alan Grant comes out, goes to John Hammond. After careful consideration, I'm not endorsing your part.
It's a great way to end it, isn't it? It really is.
And wrapping this up, there's a lovely shot at the end of the film They're escaping the island in a helicopter just as they arrived, and there's Alan Grant is looking at some pelicans flying off the island, and the whole time the film has made the point to you that dinosaurs evolved into modern day birds, and it just feels like they're leaving the island, they're leaving the past behind to the real world, today's world, where dinosaurs are birds, birds are just birds.
It is a really cool end to the film. As I've probably come across in this time we've been talking, I love this film. I haven't watched it in years, and it was a really good thing to come back and rewatch it. And the effects are cool, the story's great, the acting's great. Like, it is so good, and it's no wonder that this is obviously just one of the best films ever made. It is incredible.
I mean, it's a classic, an undoubtable classic. It's the epitome of survival stories, with a storyline that is, well, to the average Joe, is untouchable. The only thing holding this movie back, probably Newman.
I want to say thank you, Alex, for picking this film, because I don't remember in life ever watching it through, and I'm not someone that goes and watches loads of movies regularly, and honestly, it was a wondrous experience. It filled me with wonder. It made me feel like a kid again. It was gorgeous, and the film is also just such an important cultural milestone, especially with the CGI. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous movie. It holds up to the rating. It holds up today. I know I'm saying obvious things to everyone that's seen this before, but I loved it, and I will be watching the sequel probably in the next week.
Quick rank of our 3 films for this series. Mine is like as classic as this film is. Evolution is top for me because I love Evolution is one of my all-time favorite films. Then this as a very, 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 very close second, and Digimon as a very, very, very far behind third.
James.
Jurassic Park's first, for sure, first. And I think Digimon is so classic to me. It's nostalgia. I've seen the series. I grew up with the series. So Digimon has to go second for me, even though I did discover more problems with it this time than I ever did when I was young, obviously. And Evolution/Evolution probably last. I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed Evolution, but it just doesn't... The quality of it is nowhere near Jurassic Park. Nowhere near.
Wow. Well, I totally agree with what James said in every way, except I don't. Probably first is Evolution, because I'd never seen Evolution before, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to put Evolution first, but I did. Jurassic Park in a close second, because Jurassic Park is a classic, and honestly, the box office numbers tell us. And of course, Digimon wasn't even a movie; it was just 3 TV shows all wrapped into one.
Does this mean my pick for this series has come out number 1 on 2 people? So does that mean I win this series?
Yeah, you get the golden coin of the 3 takes.
Hey.
You're the golden coin holder.
Well,
please feel free to join us next week when it is, of course, it's Christmas time, and there is no need to be afraid. We'll be kicking things off on our Christmas series with Netflix's new smash hit. I think it's a smash hit. It might be a smash hit. We don't actually know. It's not even come out yet. It probably is. It's probably number 1 on Netflix, because they can just put things at number 1 if they want. It's Hot Frosty. Don't know anything about it. Really looking forward to it. It's Christmas time. Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
please follow us on all our socials. They'll be linked in the description from wherever you get these podcasts, Spotify, Apple, or wherever.
Thank you for listening, everyone. It's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Alex.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from James.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you all next week for our Christmas series.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
See ya.
Feliz Navidad.
No more than 5 seconds.
Feliz Navidad.